Alright, welcome to Right On with Jon Crane. And what I have up next in the What's in Your Bag tool series is actually, I'm going to cover this whole section of the bag right here, the screwdriver section. So let's dig into the bag here and see what we got. Alright, here is the collection of screwdrivers right here that I keep in my tool bag. And I've had that tool bag for many years, and just all the projects that I come across, you know, I've kind of boiled it down to what type of fasteners I see most often, and then I'll put that screwdriver in the bag as I come across it, or I see that screw, you know, coming up time and time again. And I've also selected these screwdrivers, obviously, because I like the feel of the handle and the quality of the screwdrivers. And right, maybe I'm a little bit biased here towards Klein screwdrivers, and I really do like this grip, that rubber grip, and just the overall quality of the screwdrivers has been great. You know, the tip on these is the right hardness. It's not too brittle, it's not too soft, and occasionally I do touch up these tips. Like actually this one here is a Craftsman, and you know, it looks like it's made by Klein or the same company type of thing. But you know, I've reground this tip many times. All right, let's go over these screwdrivers here, and we'll start over here on the left. And here we got the number 2 Phillips there, right? And I don't have to go into a lot of detail there on Phillips. Everybody sees Phillips heads screws all over the place, right? In electrical work, you know, constantly popping up, you know, on receptacles. You know, this receptacle right here, you know, it's got the flat head and it's got the Phillips there. You can come in with either or. So here I got a number 2 and a number 1. All right, and here we got the small flat head here, right? This is 3/16 flat head there. And that's great in electrical work, especially for these little receptacle and switch cover screws. You know, that screwdriver there pops up all the time for those, and also comes into use there on little terminal blocks. And so another very common screw that you're going to come across is that small 3/16 inch flathead. And then here we got the 1/4 inch flathead. And likewise, in electrical work, or this is probably the oldest screw made, was a flathead or slotted head, as it's called there. Another thing here, I think I went over that in another video, that, you know, often you're kind of using this almost as a punch or a chisel or that type of thing. You know, locking up little lock nuts in electrical boxes. And then here we got number 2 square drive, right? And this comes up in all kinds of trades and electrical work, right? Here is a conduit EMT connector right there, and you can really get some good torque with a number 2 square drive in there. And so you're going to want this one in your pouch. And if we look at an electrical panel, you can see that on the neutral bar there, and the ground screws, and even a lot of breakers today, you're going to see the number 2 square drives. And I feel it's actually really good. You can get some good torque on those breakers there, and really give a nice clamp down on some of those wires. And I actually prefer if those breakers now have a number 2 square drive on them. And I feel like I can get a little bit more grip on a wire and tighten down just a little bit better and a little bit snugger if it is a number 2 square drive. And then right here, this is this 11-in-1, this Klein here. And I went over this here in a previous video. And so I'm not going to go over that again, but an essential tool I feel to have in the bag there. All right, and of course it's nice, you come across some real tiny screws and, oh, I got the screwdriver for that. This is just a real tiny flathead there. And then this is a nice little one. I always have this in the bag, and I reach for this every so often, and it's just good to have in the bag when you need it. So it's just a small flathead with like a brass body on it here. I got my green heat shrink on there to mark that it's mine. But if you take this little cap off, right, this is like one of those Russian dolls there where they just keep coming and, screw the back off of that, right? So we got that small one there. And then we pull this out again, and we got another real tiny one, So somebody says, oh, geez, the screw just fell out of my glasses there. Can you put it back in? And you're like, what? Yep, I got that screwdriver right here. So, right, got the old Russian doll screwdriver. And then here's a Torx. And this is a Wura, right? T25 Torx. I'm not particularly really fond of the handle. I actually like these handles a little bit better. But just a word about the Torx screws there. These are popping up all over the place now, and especially construction screws. These T25 Torx, I'm really liking these as far as it goes for construction screws. And these are great for putting in with your, impact driver there. And it's nice if you got to come in and you got to fine adjust some of these by hand. So it is nice now to have this T25 on board in your bag there, because I tell you, these are popping up all over, and I think they work really well. I remember it was all the trend there that all these construction screws at one point were going over to square drive, and boy, I swear those were stripping out like crazy as far as a square drive being a construction screw. And now that a lot of them have changed over to this T25 Torx, I just think that's great. They're seeming like the bomb for me. All right, and then over here on the end, we got this is a Blum screwdriver, right? This is a Posidrive. So not to be confused with the Phillips there. It's slightly different. And where this shows up a lot for me is in these European cabinet hinges here. These are these Blum hinges. And I think a lot of people get confused here thinking that this is a Phillips, when in fact it's a Posidrive. And that's pretty interesting. When that screw tip does engage there with the screw, boy, it is a real positive connection. It feels really tight. And this is really good for doing all these adjustments on these hinges, in and out, And so there's a good screwdriver to have in the bag. And, the Posidrives, they pop up elsewhere. But for the most part, for me, I'm adjusting some of those hinges from time to time. And that's where the Posidrive shows up there. All right, so these are the screwdrivers that I keep in the bag there. It's kind of the everyday carry type of screwdrivers. And, it kind of does boil down to personal preference on the types of screwdrivers you want to have in the bag there and what kind you got. It's kind of like pizza or something like that, where I tend to think wherever you grew up is kind of where you think the best pizza is from type of thing. And, Giuseppe's pizza is the best. And no, Grandma Georgina's pizza is the best, So likewise with these, I like these handles, but maybe you like maybe you like the snap-on handles, you know? Maybe your grandfather had the snap-on and, you know, that's what I know, that's what I like, and that works best for me type of thing. And I think, you know, whatever you like, whatever works best for you is what's going to work. And just a note here, while we got this snap-on here, this is great to have too. Occasionally you got to put a extra little torque on a wrench, and with this little nut right here, you can come in, you know, with a 1/2-inch wrench, and you can give this a little extra leverage there on these screwdrivers, and that's a nice added touch. So, you know, there's the snap-on. This one's gotten a lot of use over the years here. And then just a couple other added screwdrivers. You know, it's always good to have the little stubbies there to reach into those little small places. You know, you never know when you're gonna need the stubby. And then here's some other handles here that I like too. Here's some Proto ones. And I do kind of like the grip on those Protos. Those are pretty sweet. And then, right, of course, you got these right angle ones, and there's always some situation you can't get in there with the screwdriver, and you got to come up with some trickery to get in there. So there's, you know, those right angle guys. And then, right, you got the jeweler's screwdrivers here of all types and sizes. And, you know, these are always good to have a set of those around. And just a word on old screwdrivers. And as far as, you know, these get worn out and the tips get worn down. Like this one's pretty worn, especially like these Phillips heads or some of those square drives. And, you know, there's nothing worse than slipping off a screw. Next thing you know, you're into your hand or your finger or something like that. So almost in the same regard as knives, you know, dull is dangerous type of thing. With these flatheads, these are pretty easy to go over and touch up on the sander or that type of thing. So you can restore those. But some of the other ones, the Phillips and the square drives, you got to get new ones from time to time. All right, right on, right on. I hope you guys enjoyed that video there. You know, just going over all the screwdrivers here. And I know that's some basic material there going over screwdrivers, but all these tools are essentials in the bag, and they are some of the most essential tools to have in the tool bag. So, so there we go. We got the screwdrivers all covered there. And yeah, in closing here, I just want to give a big shout out to Scout Crafter. You know, this YouTube community is just amazing. And Scout Crafter in particular there, he did a video a few days ago called, it's a rare gray Bonnie wrench restoration. And not only did he do an amazing restoration on this wrench, at the end of that video, he gave me a shout out in that video and suggesting his subscribers come check out my channel there. And I tell you, what a stand-up, nice thing for him to do that. And, you know, I glanced down at my phone at some point during the day, and, you know, I think I had something like 90 subscribers. And then, you know, I look over at the phone there at the YouTube app, and what the heck's going on? You know, the numbers are climbing up and up. And then I realized that John there had given me a shout out there in his video. And I just want to say thanks so much for doing that. And what a nice gift that was. And Scout Crafter there, what an amazing channel he's got. He's over there in Queens, New York, the land of Archie Bunker over there. And he just does some amazing restoration on tools. And not just that, he's a really nice guy and a fun personality to watch. And just a great all-around channel there. So again, thanks so much, John, for doing that. And for all you guys that just subscribed, I want to give you a big thanks and just let you know I got lots of fun content that's going to be coming out of the shop here. You know, lots of machining work on the Bridgeport mill there and over on the LeBlanc lathe. And then up and coming, I got a well saw bandsaw, a number 8, and I'm going to be doing a full restoration on that. I'm looking forward to filming that footage and putting that up. And so anyway, yeah, I really appreciate all you guys coming over and checking out the videos. And right on. I hope you guys are all doing great, and I'll see you all soon.